polling is now ended in all 117 seats in Punjab. In the UP Assembly polls, meanwhile, 16 districts voted today. On this program, we are going to be focusing on Punjab. On the show tonight, on a day when Punjab voted, we'll bring you live interviews with two of the key players in these elections, the Congress leader Sunil Jakhar and the Aam Aadmi Party's Raghav Chadha. Several key questions with the political fate of Punjab having been decided now, with voters having voted. Now, in the 2017 Punjab Assembly polls, the Congress had ended the Shiromani Akali Dal BJP's combined 10-year regime by bagging 77 seats. The Aam Aadmi Party on that occasion had managed to win 20 seats, while the Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP, who are now contesting the election separately, in 2017 they had won 18 seats. 2 seats then had gone to the Lok Insaf Party. As the Congress tries to hold on to Punjab, there is a multi-cornered contest that we've seen this time, with the BJP contesting without the Akalis. Captain Amrinder Singh was unceremoniously removed as Chief Minister. He's floated his own political party. He's joined hands with the BJP. The Aam Aadmi Party is seen to be the major challenger, if anything, the single biggest challenger in these elections. Well, joining us now, Sunil Jakhar, who's had an absolutely key role in the Congress party in these elections and the entire campaigning process. It's great speaking to you, Mr. Jakhar. Now, you'd recently said that, after you were not made, the chief ministerial face after Amrinder Singh's exit last September because you are a Hindu, you were targeted by the Aam Aadmi Party's top brass. For example, Arvind Kejriwal issued a series of statements targeting the Congress for treating Hindu leaders as second-class citizens. Is that something that continues to worry you, how you have been treated?
Nobody is interested in how I was treated or how I can be showing you what really matters now is that the crocodile tears being shed by both Aam Aadmi Party and even BJP only exposes their double speak. It was BJP who sowed the seeds of this kind of a caste-based and identity-based politics. They were the first one of the board when they said, we will have a Dalit chief minister.
Right.
But that was, I think, a direct insult to Punjabiyat. Punjabiyat does not believe. Punjabiyat stands for oneness of the society, but first Guru Nanak Dev Ji preached, and I think this was it. And then Aam Aadmi Party was also not far behind. 6 months ago, Kejriwal Sahib himself said that we will have a Sikh as a chief minister. Right. So what are they talking about, a Hindu or a non-Hindu thing? But this is only to show their real colors, and people have recognized them. They have seen through both these parties.
No, but Mr. Jakhar, why then did you release earlier on this video saying that you have, for example, a majority of leaders in the Congress who supported you after Amrinder Singh left? You believe that you were possibly a face. It is something that you've often thought about. And then these remarks about, you being a Hindu and that being potentially problematic, isn't it part of that same thing?
No, these were views expressed by some leaders within the Congress. These are not the views of the Congress Party. Congress Party is one of the most, not one of the most, it is the secular party in India. Every sector, every region, every class in the country. Otherwise, all these parties, maybe they're all regional parties or they tend to be votaries of a particular religion. Congress is the most secular party, and Rahul Gandhi, in my opinion.
All right, Mr. Jakhar, we've got some line problems. I'm just going to try and fix that and come back to you in just a moment. Apologies to our viewers. Do we have Raghav Chadha as well? All right, we've got Raghav Chadha with us at this juncture. Raghav, thanks very much for being with us. Now, first up, it's been a very hectic campaign. We've seen the young Raghav Chadha being possibly more politically active than we have seen ever before. But I must ask you this: ahead of the polling today, Arvind Kejriwal was attacked by the BJP and the Congress over what a former colleague of yours and once a friend of yours, Kumar Vishwas, actually said, that claiming that Mr. Kejriwal had once spoken about becoming Prime Minister of a separate state. In other words, he was a separatist. Has that been an embarrassment to the Aam Aadmi Party at some level? Be honest about that.
Well, Vishnu, I think all of us were aware of the fact that all these evil forces will get together and try to throw muck at us 72 hours, 96 hours prior to the state of Punjab goes to polls. And it happened. You have, a former colleague of ours who is not on pleasant terms with us anymore, conspiring with these evil forces, and issues a maliciously manufactured video in which, statements were made that had the possibility of even causing social unrest in the state of Punjab. Right. I don't even wish to respond to those statements, because responding to those statements will actually mean that I'm dignifying those statements enough to sort of issue a response to that. These are laughable, obnoxious claims, and these claims were made only because all these evil forces, corrupt forces, which includes the BJP, the Congress, the Akali Dal, are scared of one man called Arvind Kejriwal. They feel that just how in Delhi, their politics is forever over because Aam Aadmi Party is now, a force to reckon with. Just, similar to Delhi, if Aam Aadmi Party forms the government in Punjab, then perhaps their story in Punjab and their, siyasat ki dukane, as I say,
right,
will forever be locked and will forever be over. So therefore, they have conspired, they have maliciously conspired and tried to throw muck at us. I don't think that it has had any impact in the state of Punjab. If at all, it's been, been slightly positive for us that people now know that all these people have conspired to stop the Aam Aadmi Party.
Okay.
In fact,
Raghav,
let me go to the extent of even bringing this to your notice that yesterday,
yep,
I just finished yesterday, the state president of the BJP in a rally said, a day before, I beg your pardon, on the 18th, he said that you vote for the BJP, and if you can't vote for the BJP, you don't like the BJP, vote for the Congress, but don't vote for the Aam Aadmi Party. You have the state president of the BJP openly canvassing for the BJP and for the Congress.
Right.
So what Arvind Kejriwal has managed to do, which no other person in this country has ever managed to do, is to bring BJP and Congress together.
Yeah, but that's funny that you should say that, because the BJP has always said that the Aam Aadmi Party is the flip side of the Congress. It's the same coin. So, these things keep getting said during election season. But that's not my point. Let me ask you this. Last time around in 2017, of the 22 seats that you won, 18 were in the Malwa region. And it's obvious that you need to increase your vote bank considerably. Do you believe you have done enough to expand the Aam Aadmi Party's presence?
Aam Aadmi Party is perceived to be a party of the Malwa region of Punjab, which also has Sangrur in it, from where Bhagwant Mann Saab comes or represents that seat in the parliament. Which is also the biggest region of Punjab. It has 69 out of 117 seats, which is considered to be a stronghold of the Aam Aadmi Party. The numbers that I'm getting today, the sense that I'm getting today is we are sweeping Malwa. And as far as Doaba and Majha, the other two regions, the party was perceived to be relatively sort of less active or strong, etc. We have done some incredible groundwork and organization building over the last 1 year under the leadership of Mr. Kejriwal. And you will be surprised when the results come out. We will be, if not, as good as, Malwa, maybe slightly lesser than the success rate that we'll achieve in Malwa, we will be able to achieve in Majha. Doaba, of course, is going to be something that, all of you will be surprised when the results come out. And I'm saying this because, a lot of hard work has gone into it.
Okay.
Majha region, I remember when in the month of February 2021, exactly 1 year ago, when I was campaigning for the MC elections, we were doing roadshows and all. We were getting, a good response. But our critics used to say that Majha is weak, you are unable to score big in Majha, etc. And I, back in the day, literally 1 year ago, I said to them that, look, we are doing incredible amount of work in Majha and Doaba. And once the state goes to polls, once the results come out, you will see the kind of hard work that has gone into Majha and Doaba. And both these two perceived to be weak regions will perhaps do as good as our Malwa.
But tell me something, Raghav, in Delhi, for example, you've never really enjoyed the sort of power, and I don't use that word negatively, that the Aam Aadmi Party had sought. You've had these constant battles with the Lieutenant Governor, and let's face it, at one level, you've not won that battle ultimately. It's the Lieutenant Governor who's fully in charge. Whereas in Punjab, if you are to win that state, it'll be a full state. And therefore, what does this mean for the Aam Aadmi Party as you truly expand or attempt to expand outside the national capital?
It's no doubt is going to be a big win for us nationally, and as well as for the party's own growth. Delhi, as you rightly put, is not a full state. We don't enjoy several subjects of administration in the state of Delhi. Land, law and order, and police are excluded from the state list that's there in the constitution, which is not a part of our administration. Services and few other subjects of administration have been snatched from us,
right,
literally forcibly snatched from us by the union government and the lieutenant governor. So, of course, Delhi is a half state, a semi-state. Punjab, of course, is a full state, and therefore, with all subjects of administration under the ambit of the elected government, Aam Aadmi Party will be able to showcase, I would say, a slightly better version of the Kejriwal model.
Will you stop being seen as a Delhi party? Because Arvind Kejriwal's identity, the Aam Aadmi Party's identity is Delhi, 110%. Now you believe that you're going to win Punjab. How does that affect the identity of the Aam Aadmi Party? Is this, if you win, a huge step towards becoming a truly all India party? I mean, will we see a genuine Aam Aadmi Party presence in the south of the country? I know you've been trying Goa, but other parts of the country as well.
Well, I would say let's wait for the results to come out on the 10th of March. All of us are very optimistic about the results. And I say this with a sense of responsibility that all is going well and we will be in a position to form the government all on our own. We don't need support. We'll be able to form a government with a thumping majority in the state of Punjab. And yes, if we do win Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party will, of course, in my view, and I say this from my personal standpoint, will of course be the principal challenger to the BJP at the national level.
All right, that's a huge statement. Let's see how things go. But let me go back to Mr. Jakar, whose line we've managed to get back. Now, Mr. Jakar, there's been this constant back and forth as far as leadership in the Congress party in Punjab is concerned. To what extent do you believe that that's really hit you, as polling took place today?
No, it has not helped any political company, for that matter, any family. The dissensions do not really do anybody any good. But I think that issue was settled and there's no problem now. Both the contenders, both the ones who wanted to be chief minister have settled the issue amongst themselves. They were the one who asked Shri Ravanji to put an end to it and come up with who's going to be the next chief minister after the 2022 elections. And that issue was settled, Vishnuji.
Mr. Jakar, for the Congress, now in 2017, almost half of the seats in Punjab were won by margins of less than 10%. Now, of these, 31 were Congress victories, and I believe 23 out of these 31 were won by a margin of less than 8%. In other words, just a few thousand votes here or there could be problematic. Is this a cause of concern? Narrow seats where the margins are very short or very small for the Congress party?
In a normal circumstance, yes, it would have been made a huge difference. But now you also realize that this is a multi-corner contest. I won't call 5 parties are contesting because to consider the Sanyukt Samaj Morcha as a real contender in this election, I think, if I may say, because I have nobody to comment, because farmers were the one who paid the highest price in the struggle against the arrogant government of BJP. But I think they're no more an issue in this election. They will be the farmers' cause, will be the biggest casualty. That's all I can say with certainty about this election. The result, they will reflect not only the leaders who are contesting, whether Rajyawal Sahab or somebody else, but it will leave a far-lasting impression about what kind of a public support they have based on the results, which is not true. People stand with the farmers, but somehow these leaders who are contesting now have lost the shield because their biggest strength was the unity.
Right.
Already lost before when they
So, Mr. Jakar, let me ask you this. When we couldn't get your line, so we had Raghav Chadda on, and Raghav said that when the results are announced, there is no doubt in his mind. He says it with humility that they're going to win, and it's going to be a comprehensive win. They won't need the support or anything of any. How does the Congress party react to that statement from the Aam Aadmi Party?
I would not like to react to anybody's statement. They are entitled to their own views. But what I see on the ground reality is that this is a repeat of the same what happened in 2017. There was a lot of hype, but in the end there was no substance. I believe Aam Aadmi Party is a product of social media. And the social media will be the bane for it now, because what Kumar Vishwas said, his credibility of his claim is yet to be examined. Because I asked the Prime Minister in my own humble capacity that these are very serious charges, very serious allegations of national security import.
Right.
They should be looked into thoroughly, fairly and transparently, so that no doubt is left about it. But it has brought to focus what wrote the doom for the Aam Aadmi Party. They are terrorists leaning towards the terrorists. When Kejriwal Sahab stayed overnight at a residence of a known terrorist, so this has at least brought back those memories. And I think that's all it was required to burst this bubble.
All right.
I think it has done a huge damage to this kind of a hype they had created. And on the ground level, I can tell you from my constituency where I'm sitting, this has proved to be like nothing of the kind which it was being projected.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Jakar, and Raghav Chadha, I'd like to thank you as well. Good luck to both of you, as it's all done and dusted. Both of you must be incredibly tired at this juncture, but let's see what the voters in the state want. But the big breaking news story which we want to return to now, as India asks its embassy staffers in Kiev to return to India given the tension in the region. Just in the last now about half an hour or so, France and Russia have agreed to work for a ceasefire in East Ukraine. They will work towards a ceasefire immediately. This, as the United States has repeatedly said, it's just a matter of time, any time now, that a Russian invasion of the Ukraine could take place. Now, the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine is where there has been multiple reports of shelling. The Ukrainians say that the Russians are responsible. The Russians say that the Ukrainians are responsible, and it could still be the trigger point for something much larger, particularly since Russia has now said that they're going to extend their military exercises in the Belarus area from where they were actually supposed to withdraw. But now it appears that the foreign ministers of Russia and of France will actually be meeting in the next couple of days. So this last-ditch effort at peace in the region, let's see if it actually works out. Joining us now, Dr. Diksha Pandey. She's a senior resident at the Sumy State University in Kiev in Ukraine. Thanks very much, Dr. Pandey, for being with us. The government of India has issued an advisory today to Indian nationals as well, saying that perhaps in your best interest you need to come back. Is that something you intend to do, or do you believe you want to stay on?
I would love to stay on, because my university is taking, not even only my university, the majority of the universities are in Ukraine are taking the mode of education to offline. Because the NMC, National Medical Commission of India, has strictly notified that if you intend to make your classes online very frequently, we would not validate your degrees in India. That's a major part of concern for Indian students. If we are deciding to leave, it's a major drawback for us that what our universities would make us to face the consequences in coming future.
That's interesting. So therefore you want to hang on because you don't have a choice.
I don't have a choice for now, sir, but we never know. I have spoken to some embassy authorities. They have told that they are working on university officials to make the classes online, as students could just travel through Ukraine to India, and maybe in short span of time we might even have to travel back, because here this is the examination time of every medical student. We have 6 years of medicine here, and majorly third year and sixth year students have to give a big exam called CROAK, which is a big it is a kind of approaching exam in the further medical studies in Ukraine. Without clearing CROAK, you cannot further reproduce in your medical career. So This is a very major part of our career this time, and we are facing a lot of disturbances due to the political issues running between two countries.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is there a sense of fear where you are now, or do you still hope that it will be resolved, that there will not be an invasion?
I can't tell you that there will not be invasion, because I cannot call myself as a victim, but yes, I saw the 2014 war. I was in Luhansk when I was pursuing my UG, and my Indian embassy has evacuated us with the help of 10,000 Indian army people, free trains, free stay for 15 days in Kyiv, free food, free shelter, everything, and helped us in flying. And I expect that this devastating disaster should not happen because it would take lots of life of innocent civilians here. But the place where I am staying is not even I am staying, the entire Ukraine, the local population here and the local environment is very much peaceful.
Dr. Pandey, that's incredible what you mentioned, that you were in Lugansk in 2014 when there was violence there, and now you find yourself in a similar situation in Kiev, that same sort of threat. Are you worried?
I am not in Kyiv, sir. I am in the northeastern city of Ukraine, that is Sumy,
right,
which is 55 kilometers away from the Russian border.
Right, right.
But
Are you
right
seeing a lot
now
of movement? Are you seeing a lot of movement of Ukrainian military personnel at all?
No, nothing.
Nothing of the sort.
Nothing.
Right.
It's only in the Lugansk and Donetsk and the Donbas area, which is in the eastern towards the Ukraine, which is almost like a Russian territory towards since 2014. So we are not observing anything, any disturbance. Even in the personal security, we have no issues for now. Now, I can say.
Right. And how many Indian students are there in Sumy University?
I think approximately you can take up to 6,000 or 5,000, sir.
And how many of them intend to go back? I mean, I know. I mean, would you say a majority of them? Would you say, is there any sort of measure of how many want to come back?
People here are waiting for the permission from university, sir, because when we approached university for taking permission, the only thing what they mentioned is, until and unless we do not get any approval or any order from the Ministry of Health Sciences of Ukraine, we will not issue the order of online education further.
Right.
So until and unless they permit us to go, we cannot go. Even if we want to go, we can just simply leave the country. But if we miss a class, we will get an absent here. And the process of restudying that absence is very much longer. We need to stand in a long queues at Dean's office for days to take the permission for a single class to restudy it, because here the minimum attendance is 100%. You won't be allowed to approach to the exam until and unless you are cleared with all the 100% classes of the particular subject.
Right. Well, Dr. Pandey, you've got some difficult choices ahead of you. Do stay safe over there. Hopefully things will work out. France, it appears, is trying to get Russia to work on a ceasefire in the southeast of the country. Let's hope it actually does work out. Thanks, ma'am, very much for being with us.
Thank you.
We're completely out of time on Left, Right and Centre. Time for this short break.